And think about it, while you're trying so hard to rush for all this honor and for all this praise and for all of this recognition, look at what Joseph had to go through. That was 13 years of suffering. 13 years of being separated from his family, 13 years of being isolated from his family. He had no idea who he was. He was in a land by himself. He knew absolutely no one. Started out as a slave, ended up in prison, and became second in command. Father thinks he's dead, so no one's looking for him, no one's sending for him. 13 years by himself. The only person he had, and I shouldn't say the only person, but the only thing he could count on, the only thing that was familiar to him was the presence of God in his life. But it was 13 years of him and God. 13 years of suffering. That was 13 years he spent innocently as a slave in a prison, accused, lied on, mistreated. 13 years because of a dream. And if you read any version of the Bible, you'll find that not one of these versions say that in any of that time that Joseph complained about his suffering. And it reminds me of Jesus. Joseph and Jesus have a lot of commonalities. Sitting there, not saying the mumbling word, not complaining. Jesus carrying the cross, not saying the mumbling word, not complaining, being pierced on the side, lied on, talked about, mistreated, spit on, throwing the crowns on his head. Not saying a mumbling word, not defending himself, but just suffering, taking it on and suffering. Can we honestly say, we want to be, oh God, I want to be like you. Jesus, I want to be like you. I want to love like you. I want to talk like you. I want to walk like you. But do we realize what we have to go through, walk and talk and be like him? Do we realize that we may have to get lied on? Because we can't even stand when somebody put up a Facebook status about us. We can't even stand when somebody's lying on us. We can't stand. We always got to open our mouth and we always got to defend ourselves. When someone says something out of line to us, we just got to defend ourselves. That's part of the suffering. That's part of being like him. Shutting up. Learning not to respond to everything, but waiting for God to give us the appropriate response. I just had this conversation with my son. He's 21 and he wants to rebuttal everything that I tell him. And then he comes back and apologizes. And I said, listen, sometimes you just need to be quiet and you just need to think before you speak. If you know that what you're going to say is about to offend me, think about a different way to say it. Or don't say it at all. Because I consider my words before I speak to you because you're my child, but you're also grown. So sometimes in our suffering, sometimes we have to learn how to be quiet and not say anything and just take it on. And like I said before, the best defense sometimes is no defense. The best answer sometimes is no answer. You can say more in your silence than you can in your words.